Welcome back to another session of Let's Chat with Denisha. Today, we are going to talk about a topic, yeah, that makes some person cry, that robs some person of their sleep. A topic that I know that you would want to hear about. Can you guess? Can you guess what the topic is about? I'm waiting. I'm waiting on you. Please. Can you guess what the topic is about? Guess. You know. Yes, the topic is about money. That's what we're going to talk about today. Budgeting. Aiming towards financial independence. You just cannot afford to miss this session. Stay. Can I share a little secret with you guys? I am not good when it comes on to budgeting. So what I did was I did my research and I asked persons who are in the financial field. So I have those type of persons in my circle. Yeah. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much for the time that you would have given to me to furnish me with this information and all of that. Thank you. So, my viewers, we are going to learn together how to budget and how we can move forward in accomplishing our goals for 2020 and even beyond, because we know that it takes money these days to do many things, and without the dollar we are stuck. So we got to learn how to budget our money. Stay tuned. What is budgeting? So when you think about budgeting, there are several terms that will come into play. You're talking about planning. There is direction, financial affairs, manage or managing, monthly, weekly, quarterly, timeline, specifics. These are some terms that you will use whenever you want to describe the term budget, what really budget is. So I used all of these words to come up with a definition. So here it goes. A plan of direction of how one will manage his financial affairs, whether it's going to be on a monthly, weekly, or quarterly basis. It is setting specific goals, long-term or short-term, and these goals are financial goals. And if you have not yet watched the video with, I think it's 2019 year in review and us setting plans for 2020, it is important that we zoom in on our finance, because some of our goals are hinged on how much we will manage our money. So budget is about managing your money so that you will be able to cater for your personal needs and otherwise. Okay? The next question is, how does budgeting play a role in one becoming financially stable? And the answer to that, and there are many answers, I suppose, but the ones that I got is you have to be aware of your defined goals. What are the goals that you set? You have to be aware of those and, have them in the back of your mind, or maybe the forefront of your mind, to say, hey, this is the goal. I need that car. I have to get that car. So have your goals. It is being aware of your income. If your income is $55,000 for the month, what that means then, you cannot spend as if you are getting $75,000 at the end of the month. You have to spend within your budget, within your income. Get that? It is being aware of recurring expenses. And recurring expenses, for example, would be your water bill, your electricity, your mortgage. Yeah, those are recurring bills. Grocery. So those are examples of recurring expenses. The other one is make provision for one-off expenses. And these one-off expenses are like cases of emergencies. Anything can happen. Your car broke down, you didn't plan for it, and your mechanic is telling you that you need a new tire. You know, your car got towed, God forbid, and you have to pay wrecker fee, or what you call that place where they store the vehicle for some time. You have to pay that fee as well, and all those other fees. So those are offset expenses. So make provision for those. And when you do all of that, your budget will be more effective. So I guess that answers the question of how does budgeting play a role in one becoming stable? And I say stick to the budget. This person wants to find out which is better, a local bank versus a building society. And we know that we have these in Jamaica. I'm not sure about other countries what the financial institutions are like, but this is what the accountant says. Both building society and banks, they cater to different markets. So for example, the building societies, they serve their members. And it is explained that what you do when you join a building society is that you contribute to a pool of fund, where members contribute to a pool of fund, and then now each member can borrow against his share. For the local banks, they have more people, and the packages are different, and as the person explained, that they cater to different needs. And so it is recommended that you join both building societies and local banks. Next, you need to have a conversation with the banker. So you go in and you find out the fee structures, the different packages that they have. So when you go in, you will be informed, and then you will be able to make a decision based on your specific need. What is your specific need, and is the package or the packages given to you, will they be able to fulfill that need? And so therefore you can make your decision from there. So I hope that answers your question. The other one is, can you give us practical steps to become financially stable? Get your pen and your paper and write down these steps, okay? Come we go down, Solas Market. Come we go down, come we go down. We go buy banana, ripe one, banana green one, banana red one, banana yellow one, banana. Come we go down, come we go down, come we go down, Solas Market. Come we go down, come we go down. We go buy. Well, we're not talking about banana, no, but our great grandparents and great-great-grandparents and grandma used to tell us this thing, that one cocoa full basket. Let me take off the glasses. Yes, our grandmother and great-great-grandmother used to reiterate the point, telling us that one cocoa full basket. And what they were simply telling us is this whole thing of budgeting. Every little make a muckle. In other words, it is the little things that will add up at the end of the day. And that is what they were teaching us. That's what they were teaching us. And that is really budgeting as well. So the first one is, set aside a little each time toward your goal. And what I used to do, like, this is like short term, like I need to buy something, say a laptop. I need to buy a laptop. You know what I will do? Even though my salary wasn't able to cover all my expenses, but the tricky part about it is, or the amazing part about it is, that when I check everything that I spend for the entire month, it always go over my salary, and I'm like, where did this money come from? And it is not like I went into my savings or anything like that. It always amazes me. But I always say, God has a way of working it out. Okay, so let's get back here. put aside, this is what I always do, put aside a little. So even though my salary wasn't able to meet my needs, I had a little envelope, and I would put like a little $100 in there every time I get paid. And if at the end of the month I get a little extra from anybody, I would put a little of the extra in that envelope, and I would write, for example, it's a laptop, I would write laptop, and I would set aside that little money, it going towards the laptop. That's it. So the first principle in becoming financially stable, or practical way of budgeting, is the little, putting away a little aside, which will add up at the end of the day. The other one is creating series of steps to get to where you want to go. Creating series of steps to get to where you want to go. And I guess it will pretty much tie into the first one, where I was saying set aside, a little amount. So when you get your salary, whether it's a weekly salary you have, a quarterly or monthly, you would put aside. So the calculation would be, if it is weekly, if it is $10 you put aside a day, at the end of the week, that is $50, and as I said, this now you put aside depending on your, no, I'm saying, and that is why I think that how I thought budgeting was before doing this study and all of that. I just thought it to be stressful, because I'm like, okay, then I won't be able to eat as much as though I used to. But then that's not really it. We don't necessarily, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think budgeting needs to be so stressful. I think you can be able to enjoy you and whatever it is, and still be able to budget, even on a meager salary. For example, I'm buying a vehicle, or I want to buy a vehicle for $2.5 million. I want to borrow some from the bank, but I don't want to borrow so much that will stress me out at the end of the day and put a stress on my income. So I'm going to save. I plan, like to save a sum, and then I will borrow the rest. I know that there are going to be sacrifices that I will have to make. So instead of going to KFC every evening coming from work, I will have to break it down to one evening, or not every week. Understand? But not take it out all at all, because KFC have to eat. Like that I'm talking about. Something like that. So you are saving, but it is not that you are depriving yourself of some things that you really like, or some things that you want to do for yourself. Sometimes it calls for that, but in generally speaking, you don't necessarily have to do that, because I have seen it where a person saving towards something, and not even food them don't want to buy. Not even food. You're saving towards a house and you can't buy little food. But you know what? They come to work and they beg you and they sponge on you. It has happened. I have seen it. I have seen it. So that's what I'm saying. When you're putting aside the little, when you're putting aside, don't put aside that much that you will be a burden to other persons, or you deprive yourself of necessities. But make the sacrifice. The third one, put controls in place. By this mean, do not be a spendthrift. Do not spend wildly. You love to shop online. Don't just spend like that. Don't just buy like that because you want the house. You want the house. So then you are not just going to get up and just, you don't need a blouse. You have 50 blouses in the closet already. You don't need the pants. You can continue to wear that pants for another 2 months or 3 months. And besides, you're not even going out either. So it's not a need. It's not necessary. If it is that you normally shop to de-stress, find another way that it will not cost you to de-stress. I'm just saying. Putting controls in place again. For example, you go out every time you get your pay. You buy yourself. I always say you treat yourself, you reward yourself. But there come times when you have to make the sacrifice. And so, if it is that you are one like myself, who every time you get paid, you say, you know what, this is for me, it's not going to be for you, because you're going to think about your goal. You want the car. I'm just using car as an example. So you want the car. So therefore, you are not going to bother to buy the Chinese food when you get paid for this month. You know? Go home and do the fried rice yourself. Cool? Go do the fried rice yourself. Instead of going to the movies. Don't go. Just watch something else. If you hang around friends who love to party and just love to go out and spend and go to these expensive places, at this point in time you can't do that. So therefore, tell your friends that you're going on a sabbatical. That will help as well. You're going on a sabbatical. Yeah. So I guess that will answer. That's the third step. The fourth one, avoid debts in as much as you can, and also try to eliminate them, except in countries that deals with credits. Jamaica is not so big on credits, want to know what your credit score is and whatever and all of that, but I will be touching on that too. So as I said, try to avoid debts if as much as you can. So in Jamaica here, instead of go borrow, save towards the thing. But we know, like in the US and in Canada, where you have to build your credit score, utilize credit cards as often as you can. Because what happens in this situation is that the banks would reward you every time you use the credit card. So you can use it to buy your ticket. Instead of using cash, use it to buy your ticket, use it to shop, use it to use your credit card as much as possible. Bankers would advise that you pay the minimum of your credit card. But what happens then, it pushes you into more debt. So to beat the system, you gotta listen for this one. To beat the system, pay the full amount on your credit card before the due date. Pay the full amount on your credit card before the due date. And in doing that, you will not incur any interest whatsoever. If you don't believe me, and if you don't believe my sources, go and find out for yourself. One is, be on a constant search for opportunities to make money. Be on a constant search for opportunities to make money. You have your skills. Own your skills. Own your skills. Own your skills. So even if you are an administrator, for example, you're an administrator, so you know about typing, you know about filing and all of those stuff. Anyone wants to type letters, put it out, send it out on Facebook. You want to proofread your letter, you want to proofread resume, stuff like that, papers, assignments, and let them pay for your services. Let persons pay for your services. So these are ways in which you can make some money. You are an accountant. How can you make extra money? There are many companies, small businesses, even someone who has a shop, or a store. There are many persons who want their taxes to be filed and stuff like that. Use your skills and let persons pay for it. Yeah. So always seek ways to make extra money, because the regular 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, not really cutting it. So you will have to find other ways to make some funds. Last but not least, and as my friend told me, this should have been the first one, get educated about finance. Because financial illiteracy is one of the things that is putting us in debt and is causing us not to reach our goals or financial goals, because we just don't know. And as the scripture says, without knowledge, people perish, or lack of knowledge, people perish. We have this saying in Jamaica that what you don't know will not hurt you. Is not true. Get financial literate, because when you know how to spend your money, when you know which bank is better than what, when you have all this financial information, you know, different partner plans that are available, different ways in which you can save more money, all of these little stuff, when you have this information, you are bettering yourself because knowledge is power. And so, as my friend told me, that this should have been the first one: get financially literate. And this does not mean you have to have formal education. There are different platforms in which you can learn. And also there are different tools on the internet that can also. And then I'll go the last one, and we're gonna make some money. The last one. How can I budget on a salary? Can I get an amen? How can I budget on a salary that is barely meeting my expenses? How? It is hard. It is hard. Very hard. Very hard. But let us hear what the expert had to tell us. I am not the expert, so listen up. Sacrifices will have to be made in order to manage on that salary that is not meeting your needs. The other one is restructuring as much as possible. What do I mean by restructuring? There are things that are just not necessary that we think is necessary. Is that true? I think it's true. So to go get your hair done every week, it's not necessary. No. Why not just do a hairstyle that can serve you for the month instead of changing it every week? It's not necessary. Invest in some wigs. So instead of using that funds to go to the hairdresser to get your hair done, invest in some wigs. Wig it until you can make the sacrifice to get the hair done. Yeah. It works. It works. It worked for me, so I know it can work for you. Sometimes restructuring means you're gonna be uncomfortable for some time. What do I mean by that? So instead of renting an apartment for $40,000 for the month, and you know that when that $40,000 come out of your pay every month, you will have to struggle or try to figure out how your other expenses are going to be met. And savings is not a part of that as yet. What it means then is you're just going to be uncomfortable for a while where you are at. So you are in an uncomfortable spot now. So you got to just stick it out for a while until you save enough and have enough in reserve where you can launch out. It means you have to go on JUTC, go and boom it for the rest of the year until next year you can get the vehicle, and not push to get it now. You know? Not push to get it now. That is what it means by restructuring. Looking at what is really your need versus what is wants. What can you give up? What area can you sacrifice in? You're not going to sacrifice the lunch money for your kids to go to school. They have to go to school. But then you can sacrifice something else. So that is what you're going to do. Put pen to paper. Write down all your expenses. Write down everything that you would spend on. And then you are going to write needs and wants beside the ones that are needs and wants. Then when you do that, you will be able to make more sacrifice. And some things that are needs, see if they can go over the wants section as well. Okay? So I know it is very hard, but then we can do it together. we can budget together and let it work. I hope that this session was very helpful. And if you have more questions, or you want clarity on something that I said, or you have another opinion or other suggestions, please leave your comments below. And I hope that I will see you next time. And yeah, we could keep in touch, not true. And I hope that you'll be able to meet your financial goals. Let us try to stick to this. Yeah? Let us try to stick to our budget. Don't stress ourselves too much, but at the end of the day, let us make the necessary sacrifices to meet our financial obligations, to be able to save and also give your tithes. You hear? Give your tithes. Alright? Remember to subscribe to this channel and share. Share. See you again next time on Let's Start with Danisha. Ooh, bye-bye.